beautiful people. I'm Deja Riley.
And I'm Lucia Ferguson.
And you are tuned into Dose of Duality, the podcast where we dive into deep conversation, cultivating a sense of community around the state of coexistence. Welcome, welcome, friends. How are you all feeling?
I'm feeling amazing. I feel really, really good today. I am in Atlanta, y'all, and I've been here visiting my mom, and it is like every single day has been like 95 degrees. So like I'm just
Oh my
perpetually in a
gosh.
sauna, and it's like hot yoga just everywhere, like everywhere that I go.
Listen, I must say that I miss hot yoga because I cannot do it, obviously, now that I'm pregnant.
Yes.
But I do have a little bit of an aversion to the heat, specifically this summer. But I must say, just getting back from my baby moon, it was glorious. The weather was perfect. And funny enough, I do not like the rain, but I loved the rain there because there was all of these little like sun showers that were happening. And they would happen sporadically throughout the day. Like we would just be like chilling in the pool, and all of a sudden, like it would be a bright sun and then little sprinkles, and it would turn into a sun shower. And I took videos too of just like basking in the sun shower. Well, Jimmy took videos of me, but it was so amazing. Like I felt like I was in a movie the entire time. I was so relaxed. I came back so rejuvenated, and it's a beautiful island. It's definitely a piece of paradise.
Wait, tell the folks where you went, and if they're not
Oh
on
yeah.
Instagram, where'd you go?
So, for those of you that do not follow on Instagram or are not on Instagram, I went to St. Lucia. It is in the Caribbean. Oh my goodness. Listen, Alicia, if it were not for the crime that they were telling me about happens there, I would move there. I would move to St. Lucia. But I'm not from there. My family's not from there. I don't really know people there. And so, I'm going to be staying in the States until further notice. But I loved it so much. Yeah, I loved it. It was amazing.
We should do, maybe it's like not the baby moon. Is there like another vacation after you have a baby? Is it just celebrate the
We can create one.
We can give it a name, and we should create one. But it would be so dope to rent a house out there and like be for a week, and we can do a taping, y'all. And send us this feedback. Would you love to see us in St. Lucia with the beautiful tropical landscape as we record this?
The power of manifestation is so strong. So I feel it. I'm always down for a girls' trip. I'm sure I'm going to need one once my house is full of boys.
Ciao.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need it.
That sounds so beautiful. So did you guys do the Sulfur Springs?
We did. And what is so amazing, by the way, thank you for the recommendations of the things that you told me to do. But what is so amazing about that space is that it brought back a sense of nostalgia, which is probably a little bit odd to say, but like it smells like Perm.
Okay. Oh yeah. The sulfur? Yeah, it's not, it doesn't smell nice. No.
Is there sulfur in Perm?
So if it's not sulfur, it's like something chloride. They're cousins. They
have to be.
Yeah, they're cousins. Absolutely.
Because when I got there, I told Jimmy, and Jimmy has never smelled Perm before. And I was like, when we get back to the States, I need you to smell a Perm, bro.
I got to go buy a box just for me.
Just for me? Yes. Why did I tell him too? I was like, when I was little, my mom put just for me in my hair. And he was like, what is that? And I was like, you never saw the commercial, just for me. Yeah. And he had no clue. And I was like, oh yeah, definitely the difference between a black and white household growing up.
I love that we bust into song, because it's like, no, the song was iconic for the product.
It was. So going there, I experienced a little bit of like nostalgic vibes, but also like the sulfur like kills all the mosquitoes in the air, and I was getting eaten up there. Like they loved my blood. Yeah. So I was getting all these mosquito bites, and then that was the one place that I was not getting eaten alive, and that was so wonderful to be outside and not be getting eaten alive. And then it was too hot for me to fully submerge in. Yeah. My belly, my legs, my arms still feel so soft from the springs.
Yeah. So I haven't been to St. Lucia, but like all my so when even me sending you recommendations, I was like, my friends love it, and I was like, send me top things that I could send for Deja to do. But I've been to Grenada a bunch of
Okay.
times, and they have a sulfur springs there, and so I actually brought back. I still have it. I don't know if there's an expiration date on sulfur because it's been about like 4 years since I've had it because I
Yeah.
don't use it all the time.
Yeah.
But they sold it like the powder of it, and you mix it in,
Yes.
and for facials and stuff, it is
Ooh,
amazing. And also, you just
yeah.
look really silly. I feel like an alien, honestly, when you paint your whole body in the
Yeah.
sulfur and you're just like in your bathing suit.
No, it's so true. I definitely did, and then they warned us not to wear bathing suits that were, like, light,
Yeah,
like
don't.
white ones or anything, because you might
Yeah,
ruin it, but honestly, like,
yeah,
I wore, like, a brown bathing suit, and, like, we were able to, like, wash the sulfur out, so
yeah.
it wasn't so bad.
I love the Caribbean. I feel like I need a home there. Like
Yeah.
I'm manifesting because from New York it's only about like 3-4 hours depending where you're going. It's like super quick. So you can just like venture off there for like 2 weeks and come back to New York. I don't know. I feel the soft life of the Caribbean in
Yeah.
my spirit, right?
I feel that too, and maybe that's an investment later on down the line that we go in on
Yeah.
together because I feel
Cause
like a piece of me belongs in the islands too.
love
Yeah.
because it's so nice. Like you wake up and you can just pull mangoes from the trees
Yes.
or like the teas. It's like they call it bush tea, and you're
Mhm.
like, "What is bush tea?" They're like, "What bush are we pulling this from?" They're like, "It's a bush. It's a bush." I'm like, "Okay, no questions. I'll drink it." But it just all feels so healing there.
Yeah,
Like it's so healing.
it really
That's
is.
honestly what started me on my yoga journey. Like I've been doing yoga for so long, but my grandma passed away. I was in Grenada for 2 weeks, and it just inspired me to just go out on the veranda. It's like the sun showers, all of it just feels healing. It
Yeah.
almost feels like it brings your body back to like some type of equilibrium.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, yeah, this is my jam.
It's so true, and I specifically was like, "Okay, I'm gonna be super intentional while I'm here. I'm gonna be unplugged completely," and thank
Yeah,
God that, like, Chance was able to post things for me, and,
love
like
chant. Shout
oh,
out to you.
shout out to Chance. He helps us with a ton of things for Dose of Duality too, but, yeah, he took over. He was like, "Listen, we'll just do a few things on the gram just, to keep it brewing,
Yep.
but, like, honestly, please take your time," and I really
Yeah.
did. I was like, "Okay, absolutely no work is happening on
Yeah.
this trip," and Jimmy and I just really got to deeply reconnect with each other
Yeah.
and really just get to spend some quality time. We went and got my favorite part of the trip was going to this rainforest spa, which was on the resort
Mhm.
property, and we got a massage, like, in this, like, sort of hut that was like a tree house, and it was, like, elevated off the ground. We walked up these stairs, and these women exfoliated our feet and, like, rubbed down our body with all of these various different
Ooh.
oils, and oh my goodness, that prenatal massage was heavenly. It was so good, and Jimmy and I were, like, side by side, and he was getting, like, a deep tissue, and he was like, "Oh, yeah. She really dug into me." It was so good. It really was. It was so beautiful, and it was really hard to come back home, but then also we were, like,
Mhm.
kind of that feeling of, like, "I just kinda wanna sleep in my bed." Like,
Oh, absolutely.
this bed is
Yeah.
nice, but, like, it was
Yeah.
really nice to get back home and
Yeah.
get reacclimated and be in our bed and relax.
So was this your first time to the Caribbean, or have you been to other
So
islands?
I've been to other islands. I have been to the
Okay.
Caribbean before. Jimmy and I actually really loved our trip to Antigua. So we went to
Okay.
Antigua, I think it was for his birthday 2 years ago, and we loved it there. And then we've been to the DR before. Jimmy's been to the
Mhm.
Bahamas. So, like,
Yep.
we really have a heart for the Caribbean, and we love
Yeah.
going back there, which is also why I said, like, maybe sometime down the
Yeah.
line we, like, go in on a property or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, I just think it's such a beautiful place, and like you described it, it's so healing, and even things that you don't think are going to be reminiscent of, like, your own culture, and your because I'm not
Mhm.
from Caribbean
Yeah, me
roots
neither.
at
Yeah.
all, but I feel so deeply connected being in the
Yeah.
Caribbean, being near the water, being on the beach, and, like, yeah, my heart is a piece of my heart is in St. Lucia for sure.
It absolutely is. And I feel like every island has such a unique like flair to it. Like there's similarities, but every island has like a unique like dialect or like slang
Yeah.
that you hear. I love
Yeah.
when they're like, "This is the best like dish," and you're just like, "Okay, I'm not gonna compete." Like whatever you
It's
say,
so true, yeah.
whatever you say. I have to get to St. Lucia though.
Yes.
Jamaica, I love Jamaica, but I would say that what's my favorite? I haven't been to a lot of them. Like I haven't been to Antigua. I've been to the Bahamas, Aruba, but I feel like Aruba feels very touristy. I like
Really?
yeah, I wasn't oh, let me not offend any
No, 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 but it's,
Arubians.
like, on my list of places to go, so I wanna hear a little bit
Oh,
more about
yeah, yeah,
your review on
yeah,
Aruba.
yeah. It felt like super touristy. It was
Okay.
just kind of like set up in that way. Which
Yeah, yeah,
whereas
yeah.
Lucia, and like I haven't been, but like friends who've talked about it, it still feels like a small island. Like it still has that charm of
Yeah,
like a small town and people like know
yeah.
each other. Even when I was in Grenada, there would people be like hitchhiking and you would pick up strangers and it wasn't a thing. So they're like, "Oh, you're going to town? Oh yeah, come, let's go." And I'm like, you know how
Oh,
dangerous,
wow.
imagine hitchhiking in New York. Like what?
That's not
No,
ever happening for
no, I'm not even
me.
getting in the wrong taxi. I don't even know you,
No.
sir.
Right.
Like, no.
That part, right? Yeah. I still be, like, checking the
Yup,
license plate on the back of every car before I get
yup,
in my
yup.
Uber, because
Mhm,
like, safety
mhm.
first.
And then
Yeah.
I've had some taxis where you look on the app and it's like a blue Honda and you're like, "This is a black Camry. Like, what's going
That
on?
part.
Are you
Yep.
using your friend's account? I'm confused. Danger, stranger danger, stranger danger."
Stranger danger. Yep. Anyways, so I'm so happy that you are still enjoying time back
Yeah,
in Atlanta. And I'm happy to be back home in New York. Can't wait till you're back here in New York. But we've
yes.
gotten to do a couple of episodes without each other. And so, before we dive into setting our intention as we always do, I just want to tell you that you did an excellent job on our first fully virtual episode. It was so good. You and Bernard, like, killed it, and thank you for sending me all that love through the episode.
We were sending you so much love because I was like, she's in her baby moon, y'all. Like you deserve all of that. But I was
Thank
really just
you.
like especially for the intro. I was like, channel my inner Deja right now to get this intro together.
No, you slayed. It was perfect. It was seamless. On point.
Y'all, little known fact, every time it's like, who wants to do the intro? And I'd be like, you got that. You're fine. Like,
This
no one knows about this
today
intro
you
but
said
you.
that. You got this, girl. You got this. But yeah, it was incredible.
Thank you.
And as we move into setting an intention today, um, I just want to remind everybody that, like, we could not be here without all of you. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for
Yeah.
listening. Thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for keeping us inspired and motivated, because you are a big reason why we continue to do this, and we continue to show up. And even as we venture into doing a little bit into the virtual world, we plan to take you guys with us every step of the journey. So
And there's so much more of this journey that we
so
get to
much more.
unfold and share with y'all as we go.
Yes, 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 yes. All right, take it away, baby.
I'm gonna shuffle. Okay. Start channeling. I want you to start sending me some energy through the interwaves so we can get this collective intention going. It worked really
Mhm.
well last time. I was like, wow, I picked up exactly what was being put down.
Yeah, yeah, that was
Okay.
strong. It was very
So for
strong.
my audio fam, I am spreading the cards now. And we're going to take a deep breath just to ground our energy. Okay. I'm going to go for this one. This is funny. Okay. We have this I am free. I'm going to place it
Oh
here.
man, this card, I had this card before. Oh yeah, this is strong because
This
now
is
we get to
the
improv.
create your own adventure, create your own journey
Yes.
card. This is what this one
Hmm.
is. Okay. I'm free. I release myself from the thoughts and feelings that have held me back. Shame, embarrassment, self-doubt, insecurities. I'm free from them all. That's what I'm
I
gonna.
love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Honestly, that card resonates with me deeply too, because even in finding the freedom throughout this pregnancy and
Mm-hmm.
facing maybe various different unexpected turns and
Yeah.
challenges, I have found so much freedom in letting go and giving myself grace. And I am a very structured person. I like order. I like organization.
Love
I
language.
am, yep. Both speak it. We both speak it. But for me, I feel a little frazzled when I have too much freedom. I like to color, but I like to color inside the lines,
Yeah.
So I think that, like, this journey in itself is really teaching me a new level of freedom that I never knew that I could possess.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is allowing me to be more expansive as a human overall.
Ooh. Few things you said that really resonated was this idea of I thrive in creative spaces where I get to create and do and like make something out of nothing, but within a boundary. Right.
Yes.
Like when it's so blank, sometimes it can be overwhelming. And y'all already know my HS penis is like, wow, so many things to process. But when there's like a coloring book, when there's like the outline, I'm like, oh, within here I could do all of this. Like I'm gonna go ham and just really like let myself go.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing with entrepreneurship is
Yes.
there's so like you have to create your own boundaries and structures and systems and find people like sometimes just having like people like Chance and like Vivian to like support us, it just gives
Yeah.
me like a framework to be accountable to. And I'm like, okay, like I'm not floating out here by myself, which as a
Yes.
creative we can totally get lost in it and in the
It's
process.
so true.
Yeah.
So true. When I think about it is like, I'm a water lover. And so when I think of big bodies of water like the ocean, I feel like there's a freedom to the ocean and there is such a beauty to it, but for me it feels overwhelming. So like I
Mm.
don't ever go super deep in the ocean. Like, well,
Yeah.
I can swim, but you're never going to catch me far out in the ocean because I
Yeah.
just feel this sense of overwhelm when I go too deep or too far.
Yeah.
But put me in a pool, put me in even a lake, you know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
like any other sort of like smaller body of water where there are certain confines and there's parameters.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, I know how far that goes. So like, it doesn't feel so overwhelming. It doesn't feel, so heavy. Um, but yeah, I was thinking about that because freedom and flow, like,
No,
are
absolutely. And you know
yeah,
what it like struck for me is this idea of it goes back to control. And I love a sense of control. So in a pool, like roughly it's like 8 feet. All right, like this is four, it's like this much width. But then when in the ocean, there's it's unknown. And the
yeah,
unknown part is what scares me because I don't have any level of control. Like I can't hedge my bets or do anything preventative. It's just you're totally like surrendered to like this greater thing or this like large body that's unending.
yeah.
And I was reading my pattern. I don't know if anyone else is in the pattern app, but I was reading my pattern and what it was saying about what honestly is so annoying. It was like the 21 months. I was like, why do I need to be 21 months in this pattern? Do you know how long that is? As a cycle, this just a long cycle or
What happened
season.
to 21 days? I thought it was 21 days to build the habit, to build the pattern. 21 months?
Months. I
It's a
said, "Do
lot.
you hate me? Who hates me right now?" But it was like this season is a time for you. You're going to be overwhelmed with circumstances that you can't control. It said you shouldn't try to make sense of it. It said it's
Mm,
literally meant to strip you of your old ways of viewing things, your old ways of relating to things, and it'll help you get to your most authentic and true self. Like whatever destiny is for you, it's like it's pointing you in the direction of like destiny now. But in that,
mm.
it was like, don't even try to make sense of it. And it's just meant for you to release control and so when freedom
Yes.
came up, that's what it made me think of. And there's freedom in because I'm in a transition. I mean, clearly 20 months I've been in transition, but I'm in it still now. And just not knowing like things that when there's like patterns or like things that you're good at or things that you can normally tap into. And it's the normal ways of me like relating and existing haven't been working, and so everything's being
Mm.
changed. Like new people are coming into my life, new opportunities, opportunities that are comfortable are being like completely like taken away. And so I think I'm trying to like sit in the freedom of that not knowing, and just like that is the
Yeah.
freedom for me right now, but it's really
Oh,
uncomfortable.
it gets uncomfortable, but it's so beautiful too to be in the season of the
Yeah.
unknown and the unexpected and know that so many new adventures could be around the corner for
Yeah.
you. You know, when you were speaking just now, I was actually thinking of this couples therapy session that I was in with Jimmy,
Hmm.
and we were talking
Yes,
about
couples
adapting.
therapy. Yes, healthy
Yes, girl.
relationships.
We be staying in it, okay? We be staying in it. But you know, it has been a healthy resource for our relationship for us to continue to build and grow together. And when we were in a session, we were talking about ad, wow, adaptability
Yep.
and how well I adapt to change and shift and new environments. And it's interesting because actually what I've discovered is that we are actually opposite, Jimmy and I. So I adapt better when it's like, okay, I need to move from one state to one state, pack my suitcase real quick, go over here.
Hmm.
Because the pattern for me, especially in my dance career,
Uh-huh.
um, definitely created that sort of shift in environment constantly.
Yeah.
You know, that was like a constant in my world. So it almost was a pattern. Therefore, I developed, you know, this ease, this sense of ease in moving from
Hmm.
place to place. But what came for me as you were speaking is like there is a discomfort for me when I have to adapt and change to shifting new people into my life,
Mm.
or I have to shift and change in a new career or things like that. Like there comes a heavy discomfort. And then I'm like, oh, girl, you're not that good at adapting. You need some work, you know? And it's interesting because, like, my husband, like, when it comes to people, shift and change. He's like, "Man, okay, fine. Those people are leaving.
Yeah.
See ya." Like, and I'm like, "I need a little bit of what you have, and I know you need a little bit of what I have."
Mm.
So it's so beautiful that we
Hmm.
can connect together and share each other's experiences with one another and learn how to grow in those areas where we may not necessarily be as strong.
Yeah, yeah. That is so beautiful. And also just the self-awareness to know like I am super flexible here, no problem. And then here is like again, same situation, but here's where I find challenge, like in the shift, because it's easy to just throw the label and be like, no, I'm so flexible and like I could just move from here to
Yes.
here. And when you think about moving locations, like that home is a big for me, home is like a big one. I'm like rooted,
Mm.
planted, my comfortable things and textures. And so that's hard to shift. People are hard to shift. But I think when it comes to where am I easy to shift at? As I'm saying this, I'm like, am I easy to shift? I said it ain't people, it ain't locations, it ain't jobs.
Well,
I'm gonna
in
get back to
movement,
y'all.
we'll say
Okay.
in movement
Okay. Yeah.
because you're very flexible
Yeah.
and you can bend and shift in movement. That's
Yeah.
not something everybody can do.
Thank
So
you.
own that quality.
Because I was like, I said, where was this point going? Because I don't know now.
Right.
I
Oh
don't.
my gosh. Well, in speaking about my dance career, all intertwined and all of that,
Yeah.
I wanted to say that I could heavily relate to a lot of the things that you were talking about with Bernard in terms of the strike, which is still
Yeah.
happening right now. We don't know when it's going to end.
Yeah.
But I actually am a member of SAG-AFTRA. I just haven't had to, you know, use my status as a member in so long,
Yeah.
especially now that I've moved to the corporate world and working with Lululemon. And I really, really feel for a lot of my colleagues and my friends, even my sister, who is a makeup artist, like
Mm,
they're seeing these shifts in real time and it's affecting their well-being. It's affecting their livelihoods. And,
yeah.
you know, I really, really pray that a lot of changes are made because it's
Yeah.
been a long time coming where artists are, you know, undervalued and not appreciated and underpaid. Um, and I love that you brought up Kendrick's post about his, you know, residual checks.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's 50 residual checks and you got $86,
When
bro.
you shared that with me, I was like, "Wait, hold up!" And in talking to Bernard, I was like, "This is insane that this is allowed to continue." And I think we really do. We see people on TV or we see them on the internet, and they have they've been on popular shows, and we just attribute a lot to that. And it's like that,
Mhm.
like the fame or the notoriety does not always come with that paycheck. Like
Yeah.
it's not synonymous. And so a lot of the times these artists, and this is their job. And I can't even believe like in the 60s they were fighting for like pensions and like health benefits. I'm like, if they didn't strike then, they wouldn't even have that level of security now.
Yeah.
So
And some of
I'm
them still don't, you know?
yeah,
A lot of people don't even know that you have to make a certain amount of money per
yeah.
year to maintain those
The
benefits and to be
dues.
able, yeah, you still have to pay your dues every quarter. I still pay
Yeah,
mine if I want to keep my status.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And when I
wild.
was talking to Bernard offline, he was saying more about that was that whatever state you work in, you then have to pay dues for that state as well. So like if you're
Mm,
working in LA and then you work in New York and then you work in Chicago, you're paying dues to all three of those places as well to be in those unions. And I was like, oh, this sounds expensive too. I mean, it provides safety and security for actors. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into that.
yeah,
You
it's
know what
fully
tripped me the
loaded.
most is that AI piece. We didn't get too deep into that,
Oh.
but I was like, I went down the rabbit hole because that's just what I do when I become obsessed with something. I'm like, all the facts. I need them, right? And so what was crazy was that so the new Indiana Jones movie, let's take that for instance. There's so much hoopla around it. I went to see it. It was cute. It was cute.
Yeah?
But it was cute. Yeah, yeah, it was. And like I have a bunch of guy cousins. So I grew
Yeah.
up with Indiana Jones, like watching it as a
Okay.
kid. So there's that like
Yeah.
nostalgia piece there. Um, but in the beginning of the movie, he's the younger him, and they used AI to do his whole entire face. So there's a
How did
whole
it look?
it 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 was okay, if you didn't tell me it was AI, and so I'm not like, looking for all the details, I would
Yeah.
it would have flew. It would have absolutely passed. And even then
Okay.
it
All
still looked
right.
good. There was just small things where I'm like, that's like very glamour touch. Like there's like no pore. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But it looked really good. And I'm like, that's wild that you could have done this whole movie essentially with him as the younger Indiana Jones if you
Yeah.
wanted to, which makes me feel a little bit weird because you also still want to see people age gracefully and naturally and show real bodies, show the wrinkles, like show. And I like how they had that juxtaposition where he like hopped back into the now times, and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just like his skin, like even had his shirt off. I was like, yes, 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 aging in your 80s and being on camera and looking like you look like we love this. But then there were other people. So I heard this thing about was it who's Darth Vader's voice? Is it James Earl Jones as Darth Vader's voice? He
I think.
signed a contract that they can use his voice in perpetuity to be Darth Vader even after he passes away. And so what they're doing is they're just collecting all this data samples. He's given them permission.
Oh
So
my
any voice
gosh.
work that he's doing, they're collecting it so they could form lines for him forever.
No.
So
I
weird.
don't like it. I
I don't
don't like it. I
gets
don't
into
like it.
immortality. We want to be
Yeah.
we can't. Like you're not creating space for new voices, new faces. It's just weird. We
Yes.
all want to
It
play
is
God.
really, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the part for me. I would say this is really super strange, but then, I go and see, I'm excited again and then like get re-inspired and motivated and like think that like we are going in the right direction when I see movies like Mission Impossible where people like freaking wow, Tom Cruise. I
Uh
was like, why am I drawing a blank?
huh.
Tom Cruise does his own stunts and
Yes.
like he is a phenomenal human. Like the
Yeah.
things that he does, the hours that he puts in, my
Yeah.
husband and I were just watching this behind the scenes of like one of the big, I don't want to give it away for those who haven't seen it, no spoilers here, but one of the big stunts that he does in the movie. And like they were talking about, like, okay, he practiced by doing 500 skydives, he practiced by doing 13,000 motocross jumps, he practiced by, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
he's committed.
dedication,
Discipline.
commitment. Yes.
Wow.
But he's been doing his own stunts for, all of his career.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's truly admirable, but that is something that, we cannot recreate through CGI and AI.
Mm-mm.
Like there's something about the human spirit that needs to be attached to that. And
Yeah.
so, as I think of these things and I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I
Yeah.
don't want it. Like, I'm really, really hoping that we do not shift into a season or shift into the future, like eliminating the human experience through
Yeah.
something, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And the thing is and for actors, almost it's this idea of maybe becoming extinct, because why would you want to pay a new face if I can just use Will Smith's face forever, right? In perpetuity,
Yes.
or like use someone's voice in
Yes.
perpetuity. And so it really like limits the new talent that comes up. But then also, like, we get attached to the person, like they're actors and they're famous people, but it's like the person, who they are, the humanity is what we're attached to. And so you just kind of
Yeah,
like copy pasting and duplicating it, just especially if they're not even here, it just feels so inauthentic. And like
it
that's the
does.
piece where it's like you're still in the business of humans, like don't
So
forget
true.
that at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting space out here now.
It is, but I'm hoping that, there will be, restrictions placed on it. I honestly I have been heavily resistant to using it. Like, people are even using what's that Chat GBT
Yep,
and all this
yep,
stuff.
yep,
And
yeah,
I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not taking any shortcuts. I'm not going to teach my kid to take any shortcuts.
yeah,
And I really, really hope that we can continue to thrive as artists and entertainers and
yeah.
as humans on this earth, because like I just feel like it's just not right. Like I just feel like it goes back to that element that you said of like playing God, and like I don't think any of us should have the power in our hands to do that.
Yeah, yeah. And then also when they're talking about one of the big things that Fran, love her, like her energy was just wild, and just so passionate. But one of the big things for the SAG actors was paying someone for 1 day's worth of work, and then they could duplicate their likeness and image and just continue
Mhm.
to use it. In what other industry would that be okay?
None. But they do it all the time, especially with extras and with dancers. They do it. Like we've seen it done with
Oh,
dancers.
I didn't even know it was creeping over
Oh yeah.
there.
Oh, for sure. Like you have, I'm sure you've watched performances in it. I don't want to cut down any artist because, the art itself was very beautiful. So I'm not going
Yeah.
to name performances, but there's been performances where you've seen a screen behind a, prominent artist, and you've
Ah,
seen duplicates of certain dancers behind the artists. So
got
I'll leave that up
you.
to
Got
everybody else to do
you.
their research,
The
but
internet does
that's
its
getting
digging,
paid
so they're gonna
for.
figure it out. Yeah.
They're gonna figure it out, right? But like that's getting paid for like a day, maybe 2 days work, and then your image being flashed all over for millions and millions to see, and you not collecting not one single residual. Sometimes you do, but also we already know what those residuals look like
Two
from your last
cents.
shows.
Like
Right.
50 checks, $82. Like,
I
no.
wish I would have saved some of my residual checks or like taken pictures of them so I could also show proof,
Yeah.
because my residual checks still come in from like the work that I did with
Yeah.
Disney and various films and TV
Yeah.
shows and stuff. And I'd be looking at those things like, this is just pitiful. Like 36 cents. What is that gonna do?
Yeah.
And should
Yeah.
I even deposit this? Like what,
No,
you
really. No,
know? It's
absolutely.
wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
But speaking of the dose, I have got a dose for you
What you got?
today.
What you got
Now
today?
listen, normally I don't even know if I have to open my phone for this one because I kind of already know it. But normally, our dose is about other people.
Yeah.
And this dose includes me. So Black celeb, I
Spicy.
know, a little spicy, but also just like kind of warm and enjoyable. But
Okay.
like I have to set the record straight on a few things.
Okay.
So Black Celeb Kids posted the announcement of like me being pregnant
Yes.
and mentioned my husband, and it was so beautiful. I like am really, really grateful for them showing us love. But in the headline, they wrote Rainbow Baby. So to set the record straight, there are a lot of people out there that do not know what Rainbow Baby means. And I was very shocked that the comments were going bananas
Of course, yeah.
about them saying rainbow baby. And I actually was like, oh, I had never heard of some of these definitions that you guys are creating, but basically
I'm
for all of
interested.
those out there, just to educate everyone, rainbow baby simply means a conception after loss. So when you're saying the rainbow, you're talking about the rainbow after the storm.
Yeah.
Anybody that has been through a storm where they've had, a miscarriage, a chemical pregnancy, gone through fertility struggles, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be, and they've experienced some sort of loss, this new baby that comes after the loss is called your rainbow baby.
That
You
is
you can call it that if
so
you want, or you don't have to, but that's what it's
sweet.
called. Yeah,
That is what
it is
I was really
beautiful.
just because I was like rainbow baby. I was like, and I'm thinking, I'm like, what are they? What do they even mean? Like, how is
People
okay?
were like, why couldn't they just say she was expecting? Why do they have to talk about the baby being mixed? And I was like, but they didn't say anything about the baby being mixed. They said rainbow baby.
And it's
So
like
yeah, I just wanted to
brains automatically wanted to like go there and be like, which y'all not
yes.
fitting to do, and it's like,
What-
no, this is
right, what y'all not about to do.
Don't
So
talk
that
about
was
my
interesting.
girl.
No, people were going ham too. And I was like, and then they were like, but whatever, congrats. Like, we're so happy for you. Like, it was so funny. And, our community
I
on
love
the internet, listen,
they
we just
stand,
have
they
no
stand,
filter.
they
Yep,
stand.
yep, yep. So I wanted to set the record straight on that. And I try my best not to read the comments, but some of it was comical for me. So as I was like scrolling through,
Please,
I was
what are
getting
some of
a
the
good
best
old
ones?
laugh.
Give us the best ones.
Honestly, okay, here we go. We're just gonna go to
Let's
it,
go there.
and
Let's do it.
we're gonna go there, and I'll pull out some of my faves. Um, but by the way, if you guys don't follow official BCK Black Celebrity Kids, it is an awesome page to follow, and they do keep up with a lot of the celebrity offspring out in the world. If you are interested in finding out what they do, okay, so I was scrolling through this, and someone was responding to the whole rainbow baby thing, and they said, I don't have not one kid, and I even know what rainbow baby means. Come on. But anyways, congratulations and God bless you too.
I love the God
I
bless
was
at the
like,
end. Like love and
right,
light.
and God bless. Then somebody else came for somebody about the rainbow baby. The fact that some of y'all don't know that a rainbow baby is a successful pregnancy after a miscarriage is wild AF. Google is free.
Oh, I thought
Pissed.
she came in it too. Okay, miss. All right.
Right?
Girl 925, calm down.
Right? But anyways, it's comedy. Like if you
Yeah.
ever just want some comedy. And people go through and they have their things to say. And I think one of the things that I would love to address too is like, and we've talked about this when we've done doses in the past. I am very sensitive to people that live their life in the public eye.
Yeah.
I am a very small public figure. I do not consider myself to be a celebrity, but I am of celebrity legacy
I don't know.
because of,
You've been in some publications that it's like celebrity. And I'm like,
you
hey friend. Hey soul
right.
friend.
But it's always funny to me because I'm like, that's a big title to carry on my shoulders. And also like, I don't want my life that much in the public eye. It's like, I want to share what I want to share and like, let
Yep.
it be that. But in reading, this, I was like, okay, I think what a lot of people do forget is that these people are real humans. They have real emotions, like real feelings. And so, I have had to develop tough skin over many, many years, being my father's child and experiencing people just have their own opinions and thoughts while
Yeah.
having the tiniest piece of a story. And as I say that, I think back to one of the comments that I read where somebody had mentioned me and my previous co-host on my old podcast
Mm-hmm.
that I was on. And, they were talking about, us having a falling out and like, described it as like there was jealousy involved and all these things. And I'm like, you guys heard a tiny piece of the story. You don't know our history. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know, you don't even know what's transpired in the past,
Yeah.
few months. And so I am always very mindful when I speak of others, whether they're in the public eye or not,
Yeah.
that, they either can weigh in on the conversation or I am not inserting my opinion in order to influence others. I'm speaking from my
Yeah.
own experience. I am speaking, in first person. Like, this
Yeah.
is what
Yeah.
I know to be true, or what is my truth, and not trying to project that onto other people. And so, yeah, it can be a sticky place to
Yeah.
live, but this was all in love. I know that Black Celeb Kids really just wanted to show love, and I appreciate that. And there were so many people that were actually showing love in the comments. So it was really, really nice to see.
I think I've said this before, but I admire how you live out your life in the public eye, because it's courageous. Like the things that
Thank
you
you.
choose to show, and then as you chose to really open up about your infertility. Sometimes people share after the blessing has come, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's wonderful to be like, this is what was happening behind the scenes, but now look at the promise.
Yeah.
But you actually were like, no, I'm in the dirt, my face is in the mud, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like to be here and like live in
Yeah.
this space. And I don't know when I might come out, or if I might come out. Like it might not be the rainbow that we all hope and we're expecting. So it's just like beautiful to see how everyone responds. Like there's always gonna be haters. Nobody even cares. Like don't even
Yeah.
give me energy and breath. But I feel like so many people are just so excited because we all feel like I feel like the world feels like we're aunties. Everyone who's like in your tribe, whether they know you personally
Yeah.
or just online, it's like we having a baby, y'all. Like we are all
Yes, we
having a
are. We
baby.
are. I got my internet aunties and uncles. I got
Yes.
my real life aunties and uncles that are thriving around me like you. And it is beautiful the way this tribe is just circling around us and showing
Yeah.
us so much love, praying for us continuously.
Yeah.
Y'all keep the prayers coming, because I
Yes.
have not gone into labor yet. So, I'm
Yeah.
going to need those prayers too. But it has been a beautiful journey. And I really love that you kind of brought that back full circle into speaking of living in the unknown and really living from your true, place that you're in, centered in right now
Yeah.
in this present moment. And that's very, very hard to do. As we talk about things that are very hard to do,
Mm, mm.
I was reading your newsletter, Miss, and
Ooh.
I just had to ask you one thing, okay? So that prompt that you gave us all, what are you pretending not to know?
Yeah.
I got stuck. I got really stuck. And I honestly wanted to hear from you before we close this episode.
Yeah.
Like, what, first of all, I think it was a mentor or someone that said
Mm-hmm.
it to you or
Yeah.
asked you the question and like really kind of put you on Front Street in front of like a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. It was rude.
But
It was
like,
really rude.
that's
Yeah.
kind of rude. It's kind of rude, but listen, I'm all here for the growth. I'm all here for the challenge. But like, what went through your mind and how did you come to an answer for that? Or like, how were you able to develop language around, what the meaning in that was for you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have this coach, and amazing human. And we get up there and it's a small group. And so we share struggles that are happening, challenges that we're going through. And then we make declarations like, where do we envision our life? Where do we see? Where are we looking for clarity at? And so usually when you're looking for clarity, there's a piece of you that might really not know, but there's also, it's like, well, what do you know inside of that? Let's start there. What do you know? Right. And so as I'm telling my story, one of the things then, oh, this is so embarrassing. It was like, I'm like totally giving, it was totally victim story of like, and then this
Okay.
person and this, like, it's just like tiny violin girl, like the world is just after you. And then one of the things I was like, by the end of, this maybe like 90 days, I really want to have clarity on if I want to get married and if I want to get married to the partner I was with at the time. And so,
Mm.
me saying that, and this is I've used this question, and I wrote about it now because I'm currently going through it again of like, all right, let's dig deeper. But that was the first time I heard it. That was the first time I applied it, and it's a major life thing. I've been with a person for 6 years. All the things are intertwined. Like I had views on marriage where I just didn't really see the importance of it, but then I went through a journey to like discover it, and I'm like, okay, how do I feel? And is it you? I feel like it is because we've just been doing this thing, but like, let me get clear on it. But when I asked that question, it was just like pause and stop and really drilled in on this what are you pretending like not to know to even ask a
Mm.
question like that? And I was just like, I was offended. I was highly offended. You don't know me. You don't know my relationship. We are good. We are fine. We are a couple goals for people. Okay. Like I just need a little bit more clarity about what that looks like in time frames. That's what I'm thinking. And it was like, almost like someone's like standing for you and like being in your face a little bit. Like, no,
Mm.
like that's the thing. And so I got offended, honestly, at first. And then as I went through the parts that felt uncomfortable, because there's always that little thing. There's always, it's almost like the thing in the back of your head, in the back of your head that you don't even want to acknowledge because there's embarrassment maybe around it, or it's just like, no,
Ooh.
that can't be like a real thing. And honestly, I thought I had
Yeah.
my life mapped out. Like I really was like, I have my life mapped out. I feel like I know how this is going to play out. Especially when it comes to like getting married by a specific age and family planning. And it was just like, do I want to say that 6 years of my life, this isn't how I felt, but like, is it a waste? Did I just like waste six
Mm.
years then? And so it's just like, now you're in this, you're committed, you won't go through this. And the more, and this question would come up often. And it was almost like they knew before I like allowed myself to know, because
Yeah.
listening to my
Yeah.
intuition around it. And I remember, and I would start having conversations with my partner about things, and then it just became more evident and more clear. So I think
Yeah.
the more I chose to engage with it, even just slightly, just like I'm gonna just press on it just a little, or kind of circle around what I think the issue might be, things just become louder. But you have to choose to
Yeah.
want to engage with it, like even if it's from the fringe edges of it.
Yeah.
And I think when you make bold steps that way, like God, universe, whatever you subscribe to, like it's like, oh, you're ready. Oh, you're ready now. You want to take the glasses off. You want to take the earmuffs off, and the signals just became so strong that it was just like, and it's scary. Like I broke down in tears many a times, and I'm like, I don't want to do
Yeah.
this. And if I'm being real, y'all,
Yeah.
I didn't even do it right away. I knew, and I was like, you know what?
I'm gonna
I'm gonna
keep
sit on this a little.
pretending.
I, I'm gonna sit on this a little longer because now I don't know what to do with this information. Like, am I just gonna
Ooh.
leave? Like, am I just gonna like walk up my house? Like, what do you do? Because I think sometimes, yeah, now you're clear, but then what do I do? Especially when we're talking about major life decisions that people might go
Yeah.
through. I'm not just gonna like pick up and be like, all right, do it. Like so. But I think when you choose to engage with it, sit with yourself, and even if it's a small thing that comes up that you think might not be relevant, write it down,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then just revisit it. And I think that the signs around things start to become like even louder and clearer. But you really got to be ready and open to like whatever it may be,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. It's like isn't that there a quote or some sort of proverb that's like when the student is ready the teacher will appear,
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah, yeah. I was
I
like,
feel like I heard it in a yoga class.
yeah, it's like I don't know who the originator is because in yoga, honestly, we have a lot of these quotes. But no,
Yeah, yeah,
it's an old proverb, and I'm so such a believer of that. But again, we go into denial because it's easier as humans. Like it's if it feels uncomfortable or if there's going to be hurt, like I don't want to intentionally put myself in like harm
through
or like
pain.
hurt myself.
Right.
Yeah,
We're
like
not over
don't do that.
here like, "Oh, I'm going to take this like knife and be like, I'm going to just stick it in my arm right
Like,
here."
absolutely not. Why would I
Right.
do
Yeah.
that? I'm
Yeah.
not messing my life up. Like that's
Right.
stupid.
Yeah.
Um, but doing that has helped me just tap more into my intuition. And so listening to my intuition more. So now crazy things like eventually I'll get to share y'all life things that are happening now, but they're in process. So I'm processing them as they're happening.
Yeah.
But when things come to me that seem outrageous, it's not as outrageous because I'm like, ooh, that's that. I have receipts now for when how my intuition has guided me.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Having receipts for how your intuition in the past has guided you. That is powerful.
Yeah.
And I think in all that you said, I was already starting, like the wheels were starting to turn. I'm going to pick up my
Something
journal
came
right
up.
after this.
Something
Some
came
came
up.
up.
Okay. Okay.
You gave me some serious food for thought,
Yeah.
and I got some work to do. So
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
get back to you on
Yeah.
that.
One of a big
But
one, I'm gonna drop this for we end. One of a big one, and we should probably do an episode on this. Um,
yeah,
the power of forgiveness. There's a big thing where we think we've forgiven people and we think that we're like
Yes.
over things. Because it's like, I'm over it. Like, no, I've forgiven. We've said the words, we've forgiven. And it's like our hearts are still like a little, there's still like bitterness there. And I've been dealing with that and like the blockages that come. And so when it comes to what are you pretending not to know, even thinking about people that we're holding hostage sometimes, I think you might owe me something still. And I say you don't, but like low key, I still feel like if a rock fell on you, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah, listen, okay? It's so wild that you bring that up because I was in a session with my life coach probably about a week or so ago, and she was challenging me to think about in that realm of forgiveness, what are the things that you're holding on to that you need to give back to that other person? And what are the things that you feel like they've taken from you that you want back?
Yeah.
And so I've been in inquiry about that too, because I think that's another level of forgiveness is like the release.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to release. And also I'm going to take back.
Yep.
And we are going to move onto our separate paths. But I can't do that if I'm still hanging on or I'm still allowing you to hang on. And so, yeah, that is some depth that we can dive into. And it is definitely a future episode. So stay tuned, y'all. But Alicia, I think, we love to just run and run and run, and we can probably go on for hours and hours, but we already gave them their dose of duality for this week. So we're going to close. We're going to tie a little bow on it. I love that you said that. Little shout out to me in the episode with Bernard. I appreciate it. But I'm going to let you take us out.
So this has been beautiful, everybody. Again, we love to hear your feedback as we are exploring new topics and bringing new guests on. And as we're just like living life and sharing it openly with everyone. Yeah. So feel free, please subscribe, please write us online, all the things. We write back. Trust us, we be all into the DMs with y'all. But until next time, my name is Alicia Ferguson.
And I'm Deja Riley.
And this has been your weekly dose of duality. Peace, y'all.
Peace. If you have enjoyed this episode of Dose of Duality, please do us a favor. Like, share with the homie, and subscribe. We love hearing your feedback, and trust us, we respond to like everything. Sure do. And don't forget to rate and review this podcast. Come back again next week for another Dose of Duality.